Welcome into another Coach's Corner. I am so glad that I've got Amy here with me today. We're thrilled to be talking hormones all month long in our wellness community. So, welcome, Amy.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Yes, we're excited to have you. We are talking everything sleep today. Hopefully you're going to give us some tips on sleeping better in this crazy time of life where we are declining in our hormones. Late 30s and beyond is the audience that we're speaking to today, where we might have some struggles with our sleep disturbance. Are we waking up in the middle of the night or having trouble, going to sleep to begin with, or getting too hot when we sleep? That's me. We need some biohacks for sure. But before we dig in, tell everybody about you, what you do, who you help.
Yeah, my name is Amy Murray. I am a fertility coach and educator. I'm also a holistic reproductive health practitioner, and I help women to get pregnant naturally by teaching them to chart their menstrual cycles with fertility awareness. So it's just a very specific lens, like where I'm able to look at, like, that just gives me a window into a woman's overall health. And so my training is like from menarche to menopause, so like from your first to your last period. But so this is like my sweet spot to help women get pregnant. But I'm also very passionate about like avoiding pregnancy naturally. So like I'm all over the place. But yes, like this like very like small niche that I love helping is like women who are trying to get pregnant naturally. And I also have two girls. They're 2 and 5, and they keep me very busy. So yeah, that's me in a nutshell.
Where do you live?
I live in Missouri. I'm from Germany, and I live in Missouri for the past 10 years.
Okay. And I'm in Texas, so I love doing things like this, collaborations with other professional women who are like all over the place, literally all over the world. So it's really cool to be able to talk to somebody, from Missouri, and you're helping people from all over, right?
Absolutely. Yes. The most local client that I've ever had was in St. Louis, which is 3 hours driving distance from me.
Oh my
Um,
gosh.
and my farthest client, I think they would have been in Sweden. I had several clients from Sweden
Oh
during my
wow.
internship while completing my degree. And so, yeah. And then I've had a client or two in Germany too, just from my connections there. So, yeah, that's been very exciting.
Yeah, I started charting. I don't know if we talked about this earlier before, but I started charting my cycle when I got married, like before actually I got married and when I got off birth control pill. What do you like see mostly with women charting? Is it like early on, or are they coming? Is this like a trend that people are doing nowadays? Because when I did it way back then, that was not like the trend. It was a weird, like, why
Yeah.
would you do that? Why wouldn't you just stay on the pill?
That I love that you bring that up, and I think it's so cool that you did it way back when, like you said. um, and yeah, it's definitely gained in popularity. So like how I got into this whole field of fertility awareness and like charting your menstrual cycles was for birth control, because I was tired of the pill. I was already married, and I needed an alternative, and so I came across the fertility awareness method, which there are many different fertility awareness based methods out there. So like I teach a very specific method, but like cycle awareness in general, I feel like has become more popular, and it's more okay to talk about. And then at the same time, when the book I read was Taking Charge of Your Fertility by Toni Weschler. It's a great book, highly recommended to anybody who wants to learn more about their bodies and their cycles and their hormones. But so like her way of teaching, like the cervical mucus charting, for instance, is so the book was written like in the 80s, right? And so women back then hadn't been on the pill or very few of them had been on the pill for 10, 15, 20 years. And so women were generally a little bit healthier than like we are now, like just as a society. So I feel like what I see as far as menstrual cycle and like overall health is definitely different to the average cycle of 20, 30 years ago. Well, yeah, 30, 40 years ago almost. um, and yeah, so typically it really depends. Some women who come to me have already been charting their cycles. Some of them have been taking their temperatures, some only temperature, some also cervical mucus, which we can get into a little bit if you want. But yeah, so it really depends. Most of them, since like I'm talking to women who are trying to conceive, many of them are doing the ovulation predictor kits. So like where it's like a urine test strip to tell you that you're about to ovulate. And that can be helpful, but it can also be misleading. So like I'm not pro or against LH strips, but yeah, so it really depends. Some women already do some sort of charting, even if it's just the days of their period. So like there are many different like levels of charting, and so like even if you track your period like on your calendar, on your planner, like wherever you keep track of it, like that's already some form of awareness. And then there are like many different more levels that we can go deep into charting in a way where it gives a trained practitioner like me insight into your overall health. I think that was a little bit longer than what you were expecting.
It's all fascinating to me. Because we speak about wellness, and holistic wellness in my community, I'm always trying to bring things that not necessarily exclude outside medication or outside, chemicals into the body, because sometimes women do need like HRT, hormone replacement therapy. There's a place for that. But I always want to start with what's the lowest possible thing that we can do to get results. And moving into this idea of sleep, getting better sleep, what's going on for us here? Shed some light.
So with that, so like since we're talking about the perimenopausal period, which is like the 10 to 15 years prior to your last period, there's definitely a change in hormones, which I'm sure that you talk about with your community quite a bit. And basically what's happening is there tends to be like an altered ratio of progesterone and like estrogen and progesterone. So those are the main hormones in the female cycle. And progesterone is only produced after ovulation. So like the first half of your cycle is like your body gearing up towards ovulation, and it's like estrogen is the dominant hormone in that phase. And then after ovulation, your body produces progesterone, which is very important to offset those effects of estrogen. And there are different forms of estrogen as well. And so you only make progesterone after you ovulate, unless you use like HRT or bioidentical hormone replacement therapy, which also can have impacts on your cycle. If you're still cycling and you're using the progesterone supplements, that can have like a negative effect on the cycle as well, because it essentially can prevent you from ovulating and making your own progesterone that way. So there are different things going on. So basically, your liver is responsible for metabolizing your body's own hormones, but then also any like chemicals or toxins or whatever else you're supposed to. So those chemicals and toxins, they act as estrogens in our body. They're called xenoestrogens. And when we're exposed to a lot of those xenoestrogens, our liver is having like a harder time metabolizing, like it has to metabolize like all those toxins, and on top of that it has to metabolize our own estrogen. So that means that there is like more estrogen floating around in the body because the liver is unable to metabolize it, and as we age, liver function steadily declines too. So that's like why I'm bringing this up. So your liver is like struggling to break down these hormones, and then if there's like all these straws on our proverbial camel's back, right, that burden the liver, what you get away with in your 20s and early 30s might not be what you get away with in your late 30s, early 40s, and then even 50s. So I know the topic is like getting better sleep. So the first thing that I would like recommend is stop with a coffee. So
You mean altogether, like no more coffee?
This comes from like a former coffeeholic. and that has like two implications, because there are studies that show that even drinking 1 cup of coffee in the morning delays or affects how soon you're able to fall asleep at night and like your quality of sleep as well. So like even if you're just drinking this 1 cup of coffee in the morning, that's your holy everything, like your 1 cup of coffee in the morning. And it's still like the average time, I believe, was like 30 minutes that it took the participants longer to fall asleep. And if you think about it, 30 minutes is already like a lot of sleep. Like that's a good nap,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. No, I totally agree. I totally agree. One of the things that I love using is rasa. I don't know if you've heard of adaptogenic herbs, rasa. Yeah, but when I got off of caffeine for a while because of my cortisol. My cortisol was off and my anxiety was high. And I mean, that's a whole nother topic. But I love rasa as a coffee substitute. So if anybody is looking for that, I don't get paid to say that, but you know.
I used rasa in the past too. Yeah. Yeah, so then the other implication with caffeine in general, and this includes like black tea and like your chocolate, your sodas, which I mean, we all know soda isn't like the best, like it's not health food, right? So like the thing with caffeine in general is like it affects your adrenals, and your adrenals are also like hormone glands. They are affected, or they play a role in your stress response, and so you're basically one of my colleagues actually put it this way: coffee is like drinking liquid stress. And so and so like putting coffee in your body just like stresses your body out. It's like a stressor on your body. And so in order to help our liver, because like caffeine is also a toxin, right? So our liver has to get rid of it, in addition to all the other effects that caffeine has on reducing sleep and producing stress in the body. So yeah, that would be my number one thing, which I know is very hard to hear. For a
Very
lot
hard
of
to hear.
women.
And for those people who are thinking, oh my God, I can't do that, I would say go to like a half a cup. If you're really thinking, I got to get rid of the caffeine, like I'm at my wit's end, half a cup, and that like reduce it slowly. You don't have to go cold turkey. So, yeah.
And I did try to reduce like, like a half a cup, a quarter cup, and like just reducing the amount I drank. And then at the end of the day, I realized I want like that warm beverage, right? And so I found a decaf coffee, which still has a little bit of caffeine. Like it's
Right.
not completely caffeine free, but it's like way less. It's like, 99 or whatever percent less. So like if it's a matter of like, so I don't need the caffeine for like the stimulation anymore. Like in the morning, I'm a zombie until I drink my coffee, So I don't like drink it for that. I just drink it for, it's my ritual. It's my,
Right.
like my feel good beverage. So that's the thing. So I just found a decaf coffee I liked, and I switched to that.
Nice. Okay. That's a very good tip. Tip number one, that will help you to fall asleep.
Yeah. And then the other thing with especially the sleeping piece would be magnesium. So like a lot of people are magnesium deficient. There are many different forms of magnesium, and the one that's absorbed best by your body, or one of the better absorbed forms, is magnesium glycinate. So that's yeah, you could experimenting with like taking 1, 2, like however much you think you want to try. So like this is not like medical advice, right? So taking magnesium at night to help you fall asleep. You can take it in the pill form. You could also try a bath with a magnesium salt. It's like a
Epsom salt bath.
yeah, Epsom salt, and there's a specific magnesium salt.
Okay.
Like it's like Epsom salt, but it's like very high in magnesium. I can share the link with you,
Okay.
if you want to share that with your audience as well. So like if if you have time for that, if that's your jam, then a magnesium salt bath, Epsom salt
Okay.
bath would be a good way to promote sleep. And then again, like working on balancing the hormones, because like essentially like our perimenopause symptoms, like the night sweats, like the hot flashes, they, again, it comes back to an imbalance of estrogen and progesterone. So I guess if I can give 4 tips. So like eating enough protein is really important in like balancing our hormones. And so yeah, that is an essential piece. And then I have like I guess a bonus point, if you want to call it that, if you want to hear it.
Yeah.
So my bonus point, just because of like where I'm coming from, would be chart your menstrual cycles. And like this could be like obviously like on your own just to see what's going on, but then also working with a trained practitioner who like basically when I look at somebody's chart, I can see like many of the underlying issues that are going on. And so it's not like a diagnosis, but it's like almost like a diagnostic tool. Like I can see, oh, this, like, why don't you get your thyroid checked out? Why don't you try XYZ supplements? Why don't you try like leaving coffee out, or reducing your xenoestrogen exposure? And so it not only allows you to see where you're at, but also if you're heading in the right direction. So say you start leaving coffee out and you start taking magnesium. So like we take baby steps, right? So like we don't do all the things,
Right.
but like you leave coffee out and you're doing a magnesium like bath or supplements at night. And like then your chart will respond. Like you will see an improved cervical mucus pattern, improved basal body temperature, a lengthened post-ovulatory phase. A cycle that falls more within healthy cycle parameters. So that would be like my bonus tip, to tie it all together and to see if what you're doing is working.
Yeah, it's hard to know, right? Unless you are testing or, charting. So don't guess, test or chart, just do the thing so that you know what's working and what's not working. It's like beating our heads up against the wall. What's super interesting, because I'm in that age group of perimenopause, is I don't have bad, cycles or these huge swings and night sweats or, hot flashes normally. But I had a medical procedure done recently. It was on some heavy medication. And I'm noticing, all goes back to the liver for me. Like if you're not taking care of your liver, or you have circumstances in your life where maybe your cortisol is really high, whatever is happening in life is going to reflect in your cycle.
Absolutely.
It just is. And so we need to just kind of be aware that, oh yeah, I need to give my liver some extra love, right? To get rid of what I just did there. But if you're not aware and you're just dealing with all of these symptoms, it's like, what's going on? I don't know where to start. So you've given us some really good tips today. Thank you so much for being in the Coach's Corner, what we like to call the Coach's Corner. Is there a good way for people to get in touch with you? Tell us about that.
Absolutely. And thank you so much for the opportunity. So I have a website, Amy Jovita Murray. I can share the link with you as well. And I'm on Instagram, I'm on Facebook, and I also have a Facebook group. So those are my things.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much again for coming in and being such a great guest as far as, answering all the questions, giving us some good tips. And I look forward to chatting again, if only for my own selfish reasons. So
yes, I love it. That's why we do what we do, right?
Right.
That's why we do these interviews.
Get our own questions answered. Thanks so much, Amy. We'll see you next time.
Bye.